Hi, everyone at Liberty. This is Barb Bruno, and I want to welcome you to our program today. Today's training is going to be about how do you proactively recruit. Now, I am going to open the lines for your questions at the end of the call, and so please write down any questions you may have because I want to make sure that everything that you're not sure of that is answered before you get off this phone. I'm not telling you anything you don't know by basically expressing that there is a candidate shortage. But you can't only target 15% of the talent pool who are conducting an active search. That's what your clients are doing. I think all of you know that I do training for LinkedIn Learning. And so the fact that I train for LinkedIn, I've got access to their big data. And according to LinkedIn, companies are spending $2.5 billion, that's with a B, billion dollars, on job board ads and website posting, SEO. And again, your company, Liberty, cannot compete with that $2.5 billion budget that all these larger companies are using. And that's why your companies don't expect you to post and pray. They expect you to recruit. I did a session years ago, and I basically called the session, Are You a Goldfish or Are You a Shark? And I want you to think about that just for a moment. I'm a very visual learner, and that's why when I think of visual examples, I love to share them. But you can't be a goldfish. You can't be sitting there in a bowl like a goldfish does, waiting to be fed. And think about the life of a goldfish. A goldfish is constricted to whatever fish bowl it's in or aquarium that it's in. And if somebody doesn't feed it, what happens to the goldfish? It would die. The same thing will happen to you as a recruiter. If you're just posting jobs and you're waiting for candidates to call you and they don't, because there's so many other companies spending a lot more money on their advertising, your career will die. And so that's why it's so important that you realize that you've got to recruit, not post and pray. In fact, I do a lot of calls. I don't know if all of you know that I'm training now over 50% to our end users. These are the companies that use us. And it's interesting because the one question I get all the time for clients is, when did recruiters stop recruiting? Like, we call them and we get the same candidates from them that our internal team is getting by our job board ads. And so what we're going to talk about today is, how do you really become a recruiter? And by the way, it's very empowering. Imagine that any job that is written that you know you could fill it because you now know how to recruit passive candidates. It's just very empowering, and you take control of your career and you take control of your income when you become a proactive recruiter. Now, there's steps you have to complete prior to actually doing recruiting. Number one, you've got to know your current orders inside and out, whether it's a temp assignment, whether it's a contract, or a direct hire job order. You've got to know the business inside and out. You've got to know selling points of each company that is not on their website. It's a candidate-driven marketplace right now. And so you've got to give them, once you find out what's most important to the candidates and you're going to present an opportunity to them, you've got to give them the selling points of every company. And these cannot be things they can read on the website. So those of you that are involved in sales, you've got to ask your clients, give me 5 selling points about your company that I'm not going to find on your website. Why do you work there? Why is your company a great place to work? Number 3, you've got to understand the hot buttons of the candidates in your niche. So if you're placing property managers, what's most important to them right now? What's most important to the specific type of candidate that you're representing? Number 4, you have to have various scripts that stress your expertise and your track record, because that's your differentiator. When people ask you why you're different, clients even say, they ask us why we're different, and then they say we all say the same things. We specialize in your niche. We've been in business, 30 years. We're a local company. They're tired of hearing those same things. The only thing that separates you from every other recruiter that they're talking to is your experience and your track record. No one has your track record. If I'm a property manager and you say, I've helped 7 property managers with similar experience to yours advance their career in the last 90 days, I'm going to want to talk to you. That's much better than what we do. We do this, we do that, we do this. They don't care. You've got to go out there and have various scripts that stress your expertise and your individual track record. Now, you might say, great, I'm new, I'm brand new, I don't have a track record. Well, you work for a company that has a phenomenal reputation and a great track record. And so talk to your manager, get the track record of your company. And rather than saying, I helped 7 property managers advance their career, with experience similar to yours advance their career in the last 90 days, you can say we've helped. So you just use we instead of I. You've got to identify where you stand the greatest chance of success. Watch where your top producers are working. What business are they working? You don't want to work on job orders or contracts or temp assignments that are mission impossible or purple squirrels. You want to put your recruiting efforts only on your hottest orders, the best business. Ask your manager, what titles do we place most often? And if you really want to get ahead of the game, what you want to do is you want to pipeline candidates with those titles in advance. So when jobs are written, you've already got candidates in your database. So when you're recruiting today on an opening, and you know that many candidates surface after the opening is filled, you're really recruiting on the future work, the future jobs you're going to write. And then you've got to get excited about the opportunities and clients that you're representing. You can't, if you're presenting an opportunity to me and I'm a candidate and I ask you questions and you can't answer the questions and you just told me that this is the perfect opportunity for me, I'm not going to believe you because, you can't answer my questions. And if there's no enthusiasm, you never want to call me and say, I've got an opportunity. I want to run by you to see if you're interested. Well, if you say that, I'm wondering, well, why don't you know? As opposed to calling me and saying, you remember what you told me in the interview? The job you described to me is sitting on my desk. You're the first person I called. So often it's how we say what we say that really makes us successful at recruiting. So you've got to get excited. And again, if you're new or even if you're experienced, you should have Google alerts set up on every current client that your company represents. And again, you set up Google alerts, but then when the first email comes through, if you don't know how to set up a Google alert, Google, how do I set up a Google alert? And then these will come in your inbox of your email provider. The minute the first Google alert comes in, right click on it and set a rule that you want it to go into a certain folder in your email provider because you don't want your inbox full of Google alerts. So you're going to have folders, in your email provider on every current client you have and every client that your salespeople are targeting so that you learn about these companies. And what a Google alert is, it goes out and it tracks everything that's being said online about a company or about a person. And it gives you a copy of every single time that company appears online, you'll get a Google alert. So before you talk to your candidates, of course, you're going to go to the folder for each one of your clients and you're going to read what's the latest, greatest things they're saying about this company. So when you call your candidate, you can be excited and you can tell them some of the recent things that are being said about these companies online. So if you want to get excited about opportunities and clients, make sure you've got those Google alerts set up because then, again, you've got information that they don't know about because it's recent. Now let's talk about the benefits of preparation. You've got to never forget that one of the most important decisions a person makes is their career move. We work with it every day. And so we forget that this decision really impacts their life. What you and I do for a living is we're not recruiters or salespeople. We change people's lives for the better. And so what you have to understand is that their decision impacts the quality of their life. It impacts the environment and the culture where they're going to spend most of their waking hours. It definitely impacts their earning and advancement potential. It impacts their future marketability. It impacts what benefits and perks they're going to earn. And obviously it impacts their family or anybody that they care about. Because again, next to good health, money has the biggest impact on an individual. Because if you have money, you have choices. If you don't have money, you don't have choices. And what I want to say to each one of you is liberty does not write your paycheck. So when you look at your year-to-date income and you look at your paycheck, Liberty didn't write that, you did. No one is ever going to come up to you and say, we've made enough placements, no more placements. Don't put anybody else out on a job. We've done enough this month, just go home. You write your own paycheck because you're paid so much on production. Most of your income is paid basically on performance. What's beautiful about that is you never have to say to your children or someone you care about, we can't afford that. Because of course you can. Just close more business. Now you might be sitting there going, but Barb, there is no talent. It's so hard to find people. And every time you say that, every time you say it's just a candidate-driven market, there are no people. I want you to get on your knees tonight and thank God, because this is the marketplace where we make the most money. Companies are setting sales records from coast to coast in all niche areas. And you're in a niche that is extremely lucrative right now. There is so much need, but the problem is everybody's going after that 15% of talent that's in an active job search. There are candidates out there. It's the other 85% that are working. They're doing a great job for somebody else. But guess what? If you call them and ask them to talk about career advancement, and you can show them an opportunity that represents career advancement for them, they'll make a change. In fact, LinkedIn told me just the other day that when individuals take a new job, they update their LinkedIn profile within 48 hours with the new job, but also saying they're still open to hear about opportunities. And so people are very much open. I think the last 18 months has made people really think about, their career, their life, the decisions they're making. And that's why we can't assume what they're doing now is what they want to do next, because people have made so many changes in the last 18 months, haven't they? But look at all that what you and I do impacts in a person's life. I mean, it's crazy the impact that you and I have on other people. But if you take shortcuts, if you don't listen to understand where they're coming from, see, we have to learn to listen differently. We don't listen to judge them or give them a solution. You got to put yourselves in the shoes of the candidates you represent. See the world through their eyes. Don't judge them. Because if you don't listen or you don't do your job properly, you could ruin a successful career path. And so everybody that works for Liberty, you have a moral and an ethical responsibility to prepare your recruiting strategy in advance. Because bottom line, you want to do the best job that you can do for every single person you represent. We owe it to them because, again, you could ruin their career. You could ruin their income potential. We've got to know everything about the company. We've got to know what they'd change about their current jobs if they were their boss. So those things don't exist at the opportunity that you're presenting. Now, why are these passive candidates the best? Well, number one, they represent 85% of the candidate pool. But the best talent to fill your open job orders or temp assignments are often employed. And again, unemployment is at a 50-year low right now. And so most of these people are working. They have a successful track record. They have experience. They've got credentials, and they've got the skills that are required by your hiring authorities. However, most people do not intend to retire from their current job. And that's why they're often open to listen to new opportunities that represent their next career move. But there's four things you have to keep in mind. Number one, don't ever assume that what a candidate is currently doing is what they want to do next. Number two, realize initially you're a stranger when you reach out to a candidate. They don't know you, they don't trust you, which is why it's important to develop rapport, which leads to trust. Their answers are going to be very guarded. The other thing is most people that you reach out to, they've worked with a recruiter and they've either had a good experience or a bad experience. You don't know what they've had. So their expectations might be very low. Once they realize you're going to do something for them, then the answers are not as guarded. Third, recruiting presentations must be made every single day because recruiting is the primary way of attracting the quality of person that you want to represent. Every candidate you represent should have a t-shirt on with your name on the back of it. And think about all the people you've put in jobs this year. Would you be proud if they all were wearing a t-shirt to work with your name on the back of it? Your clients do not want you to present the same candidates that they're surfacing by posting on job boards or listing on the employment pages of their company website. They want us to find candidates they can't find. They constantly say to me, when did recruiters stop recruiting? We can't be that goldfish sitting in a bowl. We've got to be shark-like. We've got to go out and we've got to track down the people that we want. So the question is, are you a shark or a goldfish? If you want to be a successful recruiter, you've got to be a shark and you've got to go out there and hunt down the talent that your clients will hire. Number four, recruited candidates possess the exact experience that your client requests. This talent will hit the ground running and they will provide the fastest return on investment for your client's request. And there's many clients that will not interview someone who's not working. You and I both know that. And as a recruiter, you should provide your clients with the best talent that's available, a hidden market of overachievers who are successfully working for someone else. And so that's why the recruited candidates are so desirable. Now, let's talk about some recruiting scripts that work. Because if you're not going out there making recruiting calls every day, you're probably wondering, like, how do I do this? And so I want to give you specific scripts that you can use that will result in you representing talent. So let's start with the first script. During your presentation, what you want to do is you want to fill the gap, okay, between what they're doing now and what they want to do next. And the best talent to fit your openings, again, are those passive candidates. So you want to ask somebody, if you ask somebody who is working, who they know, if they can provide you with a referral, you almost always hear, I don't know anybody. And think about this a moment. You're a stranger they don't know or trust. Why would they give you the name of somebody that they know and trust? You know, unless they're a troll living under a bridge, of course they know people they could refer to you. Almost everyone knows somebody who's in a job search. So a more honest response to you would be, I don't know you, I don't trust you. Why would I give you a name? But the common perception also is that you're asking them to provide names of their coworkers, and that makes them extremely uncomfortable because they have a sense of loyalty to their current employer. So when you say, who do you know? You know, can you provide referrals of top talent? They're immediately thinking of their coworkers, and now they're very uncomfortable and they're saying, I don't know anybody. This is where I want you to add 6 words that will dramatically change your results when you're making recruiting calls. And those 6 words are from your last place of employment. You will ask, who was the best property manager from your last place of employment? Who was the best accountant from your last place of employment? You can put in any job title, but who was the best, and then you insert the job title from your last place of employment. This prevents the response, I don't know anybody, because of course they remember who the best people were in their profession from their last places of employment. So starting today, if anybody ever gives you the response, I don't know anybody, now you know you've asked the wrong question. Because if you asked me who was the best engineer from my last place of employment, I'm going to know who the best people are. And the other great part about this is, notice I put down from your last place of employment, because there's no loyalty to past employers, which is why the question almost always results in them providing you with a name. And sometimes they provide you with multiple names. Well, there are really a couple people who are great that I've worked with. In fact, if your conversation with the candidate is going smoothly, then ask them who was the best property manager from all their past places of employment. These 6 words in your recruiting presentation will make all the difference in the world. And again, I'm going to outline some specific recruiting presentations, you know, now, but I want you to think of those 6 words. You're never going to ask somebody, who do you know? You know, who can you refer me to? You're just going to say, who was the best, job title, insert from your last place of employment. Now let's get into some specific recruiting scripts that attract passive candidates. Recruiting presentations are going to differ greatly depending on the level of person you place. Recruiting a property manager is much different than recruiting a CEO or accountant. And these presentations should strictly be used as outlines. Don't wait. If you're not making recruiting presentations right now, please don't wait until you feel 100% prepared to start making recruiting presentations. Because quite frankly, no one knows what you're supposed to sound like. Every call you make will be a learning experience that will help you fine-tune your recruiting skills. Think about any skill you currently have. If you play a sport, if you play a musical instrument, if you're a runner, when you first started any of those things, you were good. It took practice and it took tenacity and doing things over and over again. That's the way you'll get good at making recruiting presentations. You just keep making them and you'll learn from every call. And again, the person on the other end of the phone has no idea what your call should sound like. If you've taken time to practice your 30-second pitch, and you know your brand or the brand of your company, and your brand is your track record of success, helping people just like them, you will sound better than most recruiters who have called them previously. And I don't care if you've got 2 weeks of experience. If you do what I'm telling you right now, most recruiters out there are saying, who do you know? Who do you know? And they're giving, our company's been in, we specialize in what you do. We've been in business all these years. If you say to a person, you know, I would love to find out what you see as your next career move. We've helped 7 individuals with experience similar to yours advanced their career in the last 90 days. That's a much different approach than who do you know? And again, you're showing them how you can benefit them. Every time you reach out to a candidate, I want you to imagine for a moment that they got a tattoo last night. This big black tattoo on their forehead that's WIIFM. What's in it for me? You'll hear me say this over and over again because you can't make what we do presentations. We do this, we do that, we do. They don't care about you. They don't care about liberty. They don't care what you want. They don't care what your client wants. All people care about is how's it going to benefit me to talk to you? Why would it benefit me to return your call? Why would it benefit me to respond to an email? Why would it benefit me to give you my resume and do an interview with you as opposed to the 10 other recruiters that called me this month? And so the only way you're going to get that across, and again, you could be brand new and you're going to sound better than most of the other recruiters in your area and in your niche because they don't know how to do this. The problem with most recruiting calls is they sound alike and people are tired of it. Even, good morning, my name is so and so, and how are you today? How are you today shows a person that you're a nervous salesperson. Because do you really care how they are? And the minute you say, how are you today, everybody on the other end of the phone knows you're a salesperson. So the minute you say, how are you today, they know you're a salesperson. If I get sales calls in and somebody goes, how are you today? And I go, I'm sorry, do I know you? Well, no. Okay. And then they realize what a dumb question that is. First of all, you don't really care how they are. And again, you told them you're a salesperson. And so unless I know you, I'm not going to tell you how I am. And I almost resent the fact that you started your conversation with me with how are you? What I want you to do is accomplish the following when you're making your presentations instead. Number one, set yourself up as an expert in their profession who has access to great opportunities that are not advertised. Number two, you've got to let it be known that you place your reputation on every person you represent. So you only represent the best. That's going to make them feel good about themselves and want to talk to you. Number three, you want to develop trust. Candidates must feel that you have their best interest at heart. They should not feel that you're selling a specific job, only representing one specific company. Never pitch a job up front. Never, we've got to slow the recruiting process down. If they say, what jobs are you representing? Say, we have got a tremendous number of opportunities right now. What I want to learn about is what's most important to you. What do you see as your next career move? If you say, I saw your LinkedIn profile, I've got the perfect job. I've got your resume in front of me. I've got the perfect job. Then you're proving them right. They feel we only care about our clients and not them. You've got to discuss their goals, their plans, their career before you pitch anything, because don't assume again for a moment that what they're doing now is what they want to do next. Ask non-threatening screening questions that make them feel good about themselves, and always show your track record, which is your brand and differentiator. That's the only thing your competitors don't have. You might say we have better talent. Well, no, you don't, unless you're cloning them in your basement. Everybody has access to the same people. The only thing that differentiates you, again, is your track record, and that'll make top talent want to work with you. You then schedule a time for an in-depth interview. If they can talk openly, talk to them now. Most people can't talk openly, depending on if they're in a private office or not. If they can't talk openly, you've got to schedule time when it's convenient for them. Now, you might say, I don't want to work after 5. I want to work-life balance. I want to work 8 to 5. And you can work 8 to 5 in our profession, but you're never going to be a high achiever or a peak performer. You'll never be a big biller. Now, I know big billers that work 4 hours a day, and they're very niche. They know what they're going to do. They've been doing this a long time. But I'm telling you, the 4 hours are not the 4 hours that they pick. Often, it's really early in the morning. It's after 5, because big billers, people that are really great at this, know they have to talk to people when it's convenient for them. And that's where a lot of recruiters lose people, is because you're trying to talk to them when they're on the job. If anything, get their cell phone number and find out what time tonight it's most convenient for you to make an interview. You got to do it around their convenience. And you might say, well, Barb, I've got a family, I had to cook dinner. I was a single mom for 15 years. And what I did is I would, after work, I would go home, I'd fix my kids' dinner, and I always was either prepping, debriefing, or interviewing in the evenings as they did their homework. And when they were littler, I just waited till they got to bed, because they went to bed really early when they were really little. You've got to work it around your schedule. But you've got to set up a time when they can talk openly, not just go, that's not an interview. You want to attempt to develop initial candidate rapport. Let them talk about themselves and they'll like you more. Look up their LinkedIn profile. Have it up when you're interviewing them. Make sure you know what their hobbies are, what they do. People would like to talk about anything other than what you want to talk about. And when you let people talk about themselves, they like you more. You also want to obtain any needed paperwork. Never just work off a resume or CV because you're really limiting referrals. You're limiting, the information you're going to get. And if you're working off of a resume, you should still have a set questionnaire that you work with every single candidate where you're asking every candidate the exact same questions. Because if you don't, how can you compare one candidate against another? Now, you might have different questions you're asking people at various levels, but you've got to be consistent. You've got to ask everybody the same question. And again, if a college or somebody decides to go after our industry, which they do every so often, they'll send 3 or 4 candidates to you, one woman, one man, one minority, and they're going to see if you asked everybody the same questions. So you're protecting yourself and you're protecting liberty by never just working off of a resume. If you don't have a profile form you're having them fill out, then have set questions that everybody answers. If you don't do that, you absolutely cannot compare one candidate to another unless you ask them the exact same questions. Now, I want to get into a couple general recruiting scripts, and then if a candidate was actually referred to you, what you would say. So this is just a general recruiting script that works. Good morning. I'm going to say Sarah. Good morning, Sarah. My name is Barb Bruno, and I represent the best property managers in Houston. In the past few months, we've actually placed several outstanding property managers with similar experience to yours. In fact, we actually help them advance in their career, and they're doing extremely well, which is why I'm reaching out to you. When would it be most convenient for us to discuss what's most important to you in your next career move? Nobody wants to do the exact same job, but if you let them know people with experience, similar to yours, we've helped several outstanding, property managers with very experienced similar to yours, and they're doing great. And that's why I'm reaching out to you. So again, you're giving a little commercial. I've helped other people just like you. General recruiting script number 2 is good morning, Sarah. My name is Barb Bruno. I was inspired to call you when I reviewed. And what did you review? Their LinkedIn profile, your resume. You have outstanding experience, and I've helped other individuals with similar experience advance in their career and would love to do the same for you. I don't want to assume that what you're doing is what you want to do next. So when would it be best for us to continue this discussion? See, both of these show them the benefit to them. Now, you notice I'm not pitching a job, right? I'm not saying I've got the perfect opportunity for you. You're a perfect fit for one of my clients. I'm saying I've helped other people just like you with similar experience to you advance in their careers. I would love to know what you see yourself doing next so I can maybe give you the same results. People will react to these. When you leave voicemails, when you send emails or in-mails pitching a job and you wonder why you're not getting a response back, that's the reason. In fact, I'm helping LinkedIn right now. LinkedIn just hired me to teach their salespeople how to write in-mail that are responded to. Because when I do send in-mail, I have like a 90% open rate on my in-mail, and LinkedIn can't get over that. They're like, Barb, just about all your in-mails are open. Like you've got one of the highest open rates of anybody out there. And so what are you doing different? Well, my in-mails are similar. Would love to have a discussion of what you see yourself doing next. I'm not going to pitch a job to them. I'm not going to sell, and I'm going to talk to them when it's convenient for them. I can also tell you that I coach a lot of the people that do over $1 million individually in direct hire. So this is an individual that places over $1 million direct hire. And last year, I think there were 180 some people, even with COVID, that did over $1 million in direct hire last year. And the beautiful part about direct hire this year is that, well, it's been 4 years now, the direct hire is right up with temp and contract. Usually when temp and contract are up, direct is down. When direct is up, temp and contract are down. For 4.5 years, they've both been up. And because of salary band laws, we're seeing offers being made that we've never seen before, that we have never seen before. And, and again, the salary band laws help because companies can't ask what a person was earning. So they're paying them what they were worth. So again, you're in a niche that's lucrative. Direct hire is doing phenomenal. And there is a tremendous shortage of candidates. So it's like the perfect storm. Everything is in your favor. I know that Liberty has hired some new people. So if you just entered this profession, you couldn't have entered this profession at a better time in your life or a better time in our profession. And if you use these scripts, I'm telling you, they're going to work. Now, if somebody refers somebody to you, you could say, good morning, my name is Barb Bruno. I was referred to you by, and give the person's name. I work for the best property management companies, and we also attempt to attract the best talent, which is why the people we place are retained. When I asked John for the name of the best property manager at his last place of employment, you were the first person he mentioned. In fact, he shared that and I'm going to give that person something that this person said about them so they know I really did talk to John. I'd love to arrange a time that's convenient for you so we can talk, because I need to understand what's most important to you in your next career move. If the candidate does not want you to use your name, just state that you were referred. If they ask by who, just respond, I'm representing that person who referred you in a confidential search. And if I have the opportunity to represent you, I would extend that same level of confidentiality. But I can tell you that what I ask everybody is who was the best, then put the job plan from your last place of employment. So it was someone you worked with, because I found out that that's the best way for me to get top talent. If the candidate is not interested, ask if they would share the name of the best and then insert a job title at their last place of employment. So, again, referred business is the best business, because if you can use somebody's name, there's that inferred level of trust and you develop rapport faster. But any of these scripts will work. Any of these scripts will work. If the candidate says yes, then what you want to do is you want to set up a time in the evening to fully interview the candidate and acquire the paperwork. Get detailed information, know the hot buttons of the candidate before you present an opportunity. If you present the right type of opportunity, you're going to gain the trust and interest of this new candidate. A lot of recruiters lose credibility because they present jobs that would never interest this person. If you have nothing that fits them, you tell them you're going to contact them when the opportunity they describe crosses your desk, and make sure you know the companies they would never work for and why, which helps you identify their priorities. So you always ask, where would you work and why? Where would you most like to work and why? Where would you never work and why? Because another way to lose credibility is to present a job to a candidate, get all excited about it, and tell them about this wonderful company and wonderful opportunity. And then when you present it, it's one of the companies they would never work for, because they know the company has a horrible reputation for turnover. And so that's why when you're interviewing, where would you work and why? Where would you never work and why? And that's why I always tell you during interviews to ask them, what are the 5 things you change about your current job if you were your boss to make your job better, and why? Because you want to make sure the job that you present to them does not have any of the things that they would change about their current opportunity. So that's why your interview really is so important. And they realize you're really trying to get to know them. You're really trying to get to know them, so you're not going to waste their time. That's another thing. Candidates think we're a big waste of their time a lot of times. So if you say up front, I am not going to waste your time. I'm going to find out what's most important to you first, and then I know what I could present to you. Now, the candidate might say no. Then tell them you would still like to get to know them for any future needs they may have. Remember, every time somebody says no to you when it comes to recruiting, they're really saying not yet. Timing just isn't right for them. Ask them if there's any situations that you should make them aware of if you run across them. A great question to ask is, do you plan to retire from your current position? Because normally people do not intend to retire from their current job. And then email an introductory letter and a sampling of your current opportunities. Names, of course, for them to contact you or send you. And what's interesting is when you get I always try to get their home email address. And what I tell them is, I know you're not looking right now, but we get new opportunities in every week. And what I would love to do is send you an article on career advancement every other month, and send you just a list of all the different opportunities we're representing in case down the road you are looking. Give them the benefit to them. How are they going to benefit by giving you their email, their personal email address, not their work email address? Because their personal email address doesn't change as often as their work email address. In recruiting, what you're trying to do is bridge the gap from what you are presenting to the lives, needs, and hot buttons of your recruit. So imagine a bridge, and on one side of the bridge is where the candidate is now. On the other side of the bridge is what is most important to them right now. And you've got to show them as you're walking across that bridge how the client that you're representing can offer them what they want to get on the other side of the bridge. Now let's talk about some do's and don'ts of recruiting. because there's quite a few of either. The do's are state. Putting your career in the hands of an experienced recruiter is the best passive way to be open to top opportunities in your profession. Once I know what's important to you, I'll know when to contact you. I used to say, I'm like your free Jerry Maguire, but the movie's too old. Because the minute you would say that to somebody, I'm like your free Jerry Maguire, they understood. You want to be this person's lifetime career agent. You just don't want to place them once. So let them know that, you've got opportunities that are not advertised. And if you know what's important to them, your dream job could come across my desk tomorrow. But unless I know that that's what you consider your dream job, I wouldn't call you. So, me understanding what's important to you really does. I'm your eyes and ears in the job market. Secondly, the more successful you are at addressing the what's in it for me, the more successful you will become in your recruiting efforts. Not about you, not about your clients, not about Liberty. It's about them. Number 3, always remember that your prospective candidates don't really care about your opinions. It's all about them. They would really appreciate you sticking to facts and what's important to them. It's not about us. So if you hear yourself going, we do this, we do that, I call them WWD calls, what we do. We don't do those calls. We give them a track record of success of helping people just like them advance in their careers. Number 4, you got to role play because you're going to be amazed at some of the things you're saying. And this is a proven method to effectively improve your script, your style, and your ability to overcome objections. You want to role play constantly. If you're not role playing as part of your training, find somebody who's really great and ask them to listen to your recruiting call. If you've made 20, 25, 30 recruiting calls and you're not getting any hits at all, pull your manager aside and say, when you have a moment, can I role play my recruiting calls with you? And I know nobody likes to role play. Consider it role practicing. You're practicing on getting great at what you do. You want better results, you've got to practice. And role playing is practicing. I don't care what skill you have right now. If you're really great at something, you practiced at it. You had to practice to become great. And so these are all the things you need to do. Please make role playing part of what you do every time you're trying to improve. What you don't want to do is pitch a specific job, especially up front. You don't want to appear that you care more about your clients than you do about them. And you never want to sell before you know what's most important to each candidate. And I can tell you, I will be willing to bet you that most of your competition is doing exactly that. I did a conference in Montana 2 weeks ago, and I had people role playing with me, and they were all pitching jobs. I think we had 800 people there, and I don't think anybody was trying to find out what was most important to the candidate first. They were all pitching jobs, all pitching. And I said, it's not working in today's job market. So even if you're brand new, don't be afraid of this. You're going to sound better than most of your competition that has years of experience. Now, there's something else about recruiting that I think is very important for all of you to know, is when you're recruiting, you should be surfacing sales leads. My recruiters, I have my team broken up. I have a couple people that work a full desk, but most of my people are either recruiting or they're doing client development. I don't have that many people anymore that are working a full desk, but my recruiters give 3 sales leads to my sales team every single day. So starting today, when you're a recruiter, and if you're out there proactively recruiting, you can't do this if you're doing job board ads and that, but once you become a shark and you go out there and you track down the talent your clients need, okay, and this will really positively impact your success, positively impact your income. Once you realize that this is the power you hold within your hands, I also want you to realize that starting today, you want to give your salespeople 3 leads a day, because you get inside information, and you need to provide that information to your account executives. And this is information you can only obtain during interviews. Your salespeople are not doing interviews. And so think about this. The information you get will tremendously assist client development, because it's information not found anywhere else, because you're talking to past employees. And again, they can give you comprehensive details on all their past employers. That who knows a company better than somebody that's worked there? It provides insight into a company culture. Isn't it amazing when you go on a website and they put down what their company culture is, and then you interview people that work there and you're like, there's no way that's our company culture. And the problem with company culture is each department can have a different culture. But when you talk to people that worked in a department within a company, you got a pretty good feel for the company culture. They're also going to let you know the challenges that the company is having. They can provide names and direct lines for company contacts. And if they've interacted with the hiring authority that your salespeople have targeted, they can give you personalities of the hiring authorities. They can reveal the number of contract workers on site or the numbers of direct hires with the titles you're placing on site. They can give you the positives and negatives of working at each company. Also, what salaries and how was retention at their past companies. They can also tell you where they've interviewed and turned down a job offer, because every time they've interviewed someplace and turned down a job offer, that's a very hot lead for you to give to your salespeople. And when you're interviewing them, you're also going to ask, how did you get all your last jobs? Because if they got their job through a recruiter, that company now uses recruiting firms. That's a lead. So you want to pass on to your sales team all the companies they've worked for that they got through a recruiter. You want to pass on, these are the companies I'm hearing over and over again that people want to work for, because then your salespeople can target them at a company they want to go after. And then and again, you're going to give them a list of companies that they don't want to work for, because you don't want your salespeople bringing in jobs where no one wants to work. So you really can help your salespeople tremendously. And salespeople, you've got to give a list of your targets to the recruiters, because if they interview anybody out of one of the targets you have, they're going to give you inside information where you make this informed sales call. You're going to sound great. You're going to sound like an insider when you call them. If you want to fill a higher percentage of business, you've got to share the following information again with the account executives or anybody involved in client development. Salespeople should always have top talent when they're calling on a client. They should also always have candidates that are just amazing. So you always want to give your best candidates to the salespeople so they can market them. You've got to know the most desirable companies. You've got to share competitive salaries, hot buttons, supply versus demand. The harder the candidate is to find, the higher the salary goes and the higher your fee is, and the more you make. Facts on why a job order is mission impossible. This helps your account executive appear more consultative and able to quote facts, not stated opinions. Recruiters, you understand the talent that is currently available. When you understand the best business you can provide leads from your candidates, you interview, again, by asking, 5 companies would you want to work for? And the most important part of that is why. If I want to work at a company, I have a friend working there, I've heard about the company, I can give you a lot of information. And guess what? Then you call the company and say, normally I'd be calling my best client. Let me tell you why I'm calling you instead. My best client always wants to know when I'm representing somebody who, and I'm going to give sizzle on the candidate. But when I asked them where they wanted to work, they said your company first, and this is why. It's such a powerful, powerful way to market a candidate. Powerful way to market a candidate. And again, when you're asking, where would you never work and why, you're giving that information to your salespeople, but it's also helping you, because your salespeople, you're going to hear the same companies over and over again that nobody wants to work for. And if you write business with those companies, it's going to be really hard to fill because the company has a bad reputation. But guess what else this is revealing for you? You benefit greatly by this question, because if a company has a bad reputation and you keep hearing the same names over and over again that nobody wants to work there, it's very easy to recruit candidates out of that company, because people working there know they're not working for a good company. And so you're giving the information to your salespeople so they don't write business with them, but you're going into that company and you're recruiting people out of it, because it's the place that nobody wants to work. I guarantee that if you follow this advice that I've shared in this session, that you will fill more business because you're now a proactive recruiter. And again, you don't want to sit there. I want you to just imagine in your own mind a goldfish bowl. Who wants to live in a goldfish bowl when you can have the whole ocean at your beck and calling? You can be that shark that just goes out there and finds whatever you need to find. You've all got to get very, very, very comfortable with recruiting. Very comfortable. And people are very used to getting recruiting calls, but they all sound alike. When yours sounds different, watch what happens. You're going to be amazed. You will fill a much higher percentage of the jobs sitting on your desk. And in this particular marketplace, posting and praying is just so ineffective. We don't use any paid resources at all. My recruiters have no paid resources. I don't pay for job boards. I don't pay for any kind of advertising, nothing. We 100% either place people that have been referred to us or people that we recruit. And those are our only two. You know, you don't want your future based on what was the best ad that was put in. You want your future and your income based on how am I really becoming the greatest recruiter Liberty's ever seen? How do I go out there and really track down what we need to hire? That should be the goal. That should be the goal. All right, what I want to do now is I want to go through your list and I want to find out, you know, what you learned and if you have any questions. Again, your questions can be about this program, or it can be about anything that we talked about so far. So let me go to some of the senior people first. Let's go to Sherry. And Sherry, you're going to have to unmute your line in order for me to talk to you. So Sherry, what did you learn, and do you have any questions for me? Sherry, are you there? Let's see. Let me see if I can find you in the list. Hold on. It's a very long list. There, I found you. Sherry Ziegler. Let me see if I can unmute your lines. Okay. Okay, Sherry, I've got you unmuted. What did you learn? Do you have any questions for me?
Hi there.
Hi.
No questions, but I really liked the information on the Google alert and setting the folders. I definitely am going to implement that. I thought it was interesting about the $2.5 billion in job board ads.
Yeah, they're going to spend that this year, $2.5 billion. And the funny thing is, I want you all to think about something. I don't know if you've seen it, Sherry, but like Career Builder now has an ATS. Monster is going to an artificial intelligence. All the job board companies are opening other businesses. You know why they're doing that? Because everybody's dropping them. And the reason they're dropping them is because they're not working. And so they're realizing, like, holy crap, now what do we do? You know, these people are not using us because our job boards aren't working. So yeah, set up in the Google, if you don't know how to do a Google alert, if you just Google how do you set up a Google alert, it's really easy. Then when the first one appears in your inbox, right click, where to let you set a rule, and then you should have folders in your, like I use Outlook, I have folders in Outlook on every client, every prospect that we have. So I'm glad you like that. Awesome. Okay, let me go find, let's see, trying to find some of the senior people first. Let's see, rather than, I'm just going to call on people that'll be easier for me. Cody, what did you learn? And Cody, you've got your line. Oh, let's see, I've got you unmuted. What did you learn, Cody?
Yeah, so I guess the main thing is, you know, how to address the candidates. You know, you put, you know, make sure you're 100% prepared. You know, starting out. You know, we have our job orders and whatnot with that, but I guess like knowing it inside and out seems to help me a lot more. So that's one of the main things, I guess. I think also multiple scripts. You know, I'm kind of new on this, so you know, I've mainly been sticking one and then changing it, you know, as I go, as I get more comfortable. But I guess writing out multiple would definitely help, especially for like, you know, LinkedIn messages and whatnot.
It makes it not so boring, Cody, when you're using the same script all the time. After a while, you sound scripted, and you are scripted, and it's good to be scripted, but you don't want to get bored with it. And we're salespeople, so we get bored pretty easily. You know what I mean? So just having multiple scripts really does help. So that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Clinton. Oh, you know, Clinton, you didn't put a PIN number in, so I just sent you the PIN number. If you want to put that PIN number in, then I can unmute you. Let's see. Hunter, you're self-muted. Can you unmute yourself, Hunter? I know you're new, Hunter, but I would love to know what you learned. I know you're self-muted, so you got it. There you go. Oh, wait, you unmuted? Okay, you're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
I sure can. So what did you learn, Hunter?
Yes, I think asking for referrals in a different way.
Okay, you need to get closer, Hunter. I can barely hear you.
Can you hear me?
I sure can.
I was just saying, asking for referrals in a different way, asking about, you know, who in your last employment was, you know, a good candidate, or a little bit different way than asking just, do you know anyone in your network that'd be right for this job? So I'm definitely going to implement that when I'm talking to them.
Right. And there's a lot of background noise in your background, Hunter. So when we unmute you again, try to get closer to your mic. But what Hunter was saying, I believe, is not asking for referrals. Just say who was the best person from your last place of employment. I'm telling you guys that will increase the amount of people that you represent tremendously, because everybody knows who the best person was from their last place of employment. Okay, Jason, you're self-muted, Jason. You have to unmute yourself. Go to the little microphone and unmute yourself, Jason. Okay, you're still muted. I'm going to go to Jose. Okay, Jose, you're self-muted. You need to unmute yourself.
Hello.
Here you go. What'd you learn, Jose?
So I was actually gonna say what Hunter said, because I thought that one was really good. The from your last place of employment. But in addition to that, I really like what you said about putting your career in the hands of an experienced recruiter, because I feel like something that really helps me talk to people is like letting them know that like I'm helping them and that they're not helping me, because I feel like that makes them more open. So I really like that one.
Absolutely. And when you say that, putting your resume, that, you know, letting me know what you want. I always say your dream job could come across my desk tomorrow, but guess what? If I don't know what you want, I don't know to pick up the phone, you know, and so I don't want to wait till, you know, I don't want to lose out. So is it worth your time to tell me what you see yourself doing next? If that comes, I'll call you. Okay, let's go to Joshua. What did you learn, Joshua?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I learned that, like, you know, really building rapport with, you know, the candidates that you have. You know, usually every candidate I call, they're very defensive at first. They're like, why are you calling me? I'm not interested. But once you ask certain questions that, you know, find out more about them, and they realize like you're actually trying to help them and you're trying to get more information in regards to their, you know, background and their history. I think that's a big thing. And I think that breaking that ice really can make a difference, and that's where, you know, building rapport is huge in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely. And just so all of you know, we only place 5% of the people we attract. So Liberty is only placing 5% of all the candidates that you attract. And so 5% think we're awesome, 95% hate us because we didn't find them a job, and they all expect us to. And so how you treat the people you're not going to place in a job, like if they don't have skills, experience, stability, tell them why you can't represent them right now so they have a good candidate experience. But most people, Joshua, have not had a good experience. That's why they're defensive at first. When they realize you're not pitching a job to them, you're trying to help them advance their career. You've got jobs that are not advertised, you know, that you'll take your direction from them. All of a sudden you're like, whoa, wait a minute. Now they see the benefit to them. So you're right. They have to see the benefit to them. So I like that you caught on to that, you know, putting your resume in the hands of a recruiter. Okay, Kevin, let's see. Okay, I've got you unmuted. Kevin, what did you learn?
Well, it was a good reminder for me in terms of leads, because we do ask when we do the profile form, we do ask what companies you've already sent your resume to, for what position, where have you already interviewed. And I think a lot of times I just, you know, once you're done with that vetting, I just move on to the next thing and don't really follow up on, okay, they just interviewed at so-and-so or recently, and go after that lead. So I need to do a better job of that.
The other thing too is once we talk to them at the beginning, they're still actively interviewing. They don't just use us. And so what you want to give them is, why does it benefit them to tell us what they're doing? So what you want to say, Kevin, is, I don't want to double do anything you're doing. As I'm working with you, I know you're going to be interviewing through other resources. So as you're interviewing, let me know, because I never want to present you to a company you've already interviewed with, you know, and like in the future, because then that ruins your chances, because they know you're still actively out there interviewing. And so I don't want to double do what you're doing. Plus, Kevin, when I see where you're interviewing elsewhere, it also helps me fine tune my efforts on your behalf, because I see where you're presenting yourself. And sometimes I get new ideas for you. So just keep me informed so I can do a better job for you. Then they'll let you know. If they think they're just giving you leads, they'll say, I'm not interviewing. So they have to see the benefit to them to give you those leads. But good point. Thank you. Marissa, you're self-muted. You need to unmute yourself, Marissa. Okay, you're unmuted. What did you learn, Marissa?
So one of the things that I learned, kind of like everyone else, was asking about from your last place of employment instead of like, who do you know now? And maybe not saying, how are you doing today? Because I have a really bad habit of doing that. So I will definitely take that with me.
Yeah, and again, you do that when you're nervous. I had someone who worked for me that constantly did that. And she said, but it makes me comfortable. It makes me feel better. And I said, but look at your production. She's one of my lowest producers. And so once she stopped that, it's a hard one to break, Marissa. and that's why you got, you got to have, if you do that, if you say like, how are you, then you've got to have those scripts in front of you where you're not going to say that. Because if you don't have scripts in front of you, it's just what you do right now. And so if you just start out with, good morning, my name is, Marissa, and you get used to that instead of how are you, and now you've got some other things you can say. So you'll stop it, but I'm telling you, it's going to take you a month or two to stop saying that. So don't be hard on yourself when you hear yourself still saying it. Mary, what did you learn? Mary, are you there?
Sorry, I was muted. Can you hear me?
Oh, no problem, no problem. What did you learn, Mary?
Well, it was all a really good reminder of things, the bad habits that we pick up, like how are you doing today? That's a big one. I love the Google Alert. I'm playing with it now as we speak. I know I shouldn't be, but I am.
I don't have your undivided attention, Mary. What the heck?
You do. Of course you do.
Of course I do.
I actually, I know you'll send us these your presentation, but I actually took screenshots of some of your scripting, which I thought was great.
You're going to have a handout, and you're going to have, you've got copies of, you're going to have a whole presentation, but you also will have a handout that has the script, so you guys will all have that.
Good.
I love it.
Just overall, really, really good reminders of, seeing the little pitfalls that I fall into and remembering there are better ways to do things.
Well, what happens is we just get comfortable, Mary, and
yeah.
What I want to say to all the senior people that are listening to me, we spend most of our life on automatic pilot. When we wake up, we don't think of what we do. We just don't. We just get up and we live our life, and we do what we're doing. We all have routines in the morning. The problem is you have a way that you work your desk, and you got to shake it up. If you never have a knot in your stomach or a lump in your throat, you're in your comfort zone. That means you're not trying anything new. It's a total different marketplace out there right now. Pitching jobs used to work. It's not working now. People are getting angry. I mean, they're just being rude. So it's not them, it's how we approach them. It's so much is in the approach, and we got to make them feel like we care about them. Because I do job seeker calls once a week, and I'm telling you that I hear from them all the time. Recruiters don't care about us. They're just trying to earn a commission. They've got a list. They call all of us until somebody says yes, so they can satisfy their client. We have to make them feel differently, that we care about them. So awesome. So thank you, Mary. I love your feedback. Let's go to Michael. Michael Thompson, you're unmuted.
Good morning. I think as Mary was saying, everything was excellent. I think the one big reminder, I think, especially in this market that you tapped on, and I think I stay on it or try to stay on it, is, what's in it for them, because they really don't care about us, and they don't care about the jobs. And really knowing what the jobs can do to promote and help them move forward in what they want to do. And so you have to know the jobs well enough, the companies well enough to kind of mirror that. The one thing I'm going to add, which I don't tend to do, I direct recruit. If I'm calling you, I really only want you. I don't really care who you know. That's always been my approach for 20 plus years. Because usually, I have some theories on referrals, but I do like the question on the best person in your last employment. I think I will add that, because I don't tend to make a ton of calls. I target certain people that I know fit the jobs and go after them and get them in.
Think about this.
One
you could
question.
Double your results, Michael, if you just asked them, because most of them will give you a name.
What now? Oh yeah, most will give it. I would think they would give on the last employer.
And the nice part about too, Michael, if you're targeting specific people because they're good, when good people give you the names of other people, people kind of hang around with people like them. So when you've got a great person on the phone, it's so easy to, when you ask them who do they know from their last place that they thought was great people help you identify other great people. So it can help double or triple the amount of names you're getting.
Yeah, no, I just find that sometimes they try to, when people refer, if you don't ask it the way you're doing it, they'll refer someone that they think is not as good as them.
Absolutely.
And I don't need that. I'm not placing that. The one question I have that isn't kind of related to anything it's related to LinkedIn. I'm just curious your philosophy, if you have one specific to adding HR people at all to your first level connections.
Well,
because I aggressively work on LinkedIn.
Right. I place HR. So I have a ton of HR people because that's one of
Okay.
the niche areas. So of course we do. I believe that you start at the top and work your way down in direct hire. And so often, like right now, HR half the time doesn't even know about openings that are out there because you've got a department head who would love to replace somebody, hasn't even told HR. I think I think it's a wise thing to get them as first level connections because they feel that we work around them and they're not getting weaker, they're getting stronger. A lot of companies are making you go through HR. So it's better if we try to align them, but I still believe in starting at the top and working my way down. Like even when I'm placing HR people, I talk to CEOs first. Yeah, I just do. I'm going to aim at them, and then work my way down. And so I think it's wise to have them as connections, but I also have them as connections for other reasons, but I do think it's wise.
And in our niche, I find them companies, HR people trying to connect with me that are not necessarily our clients, because I think they want access to who I'm connected with. Because a lot of these companies, at least in our niche, have some HR groups that do what we do, or at least try it.
Right.
And some of them are pretty good at it.
Yeah.
I would hire in a heartbeat a couple of them right now if we could pull them.
Right. No, you're right. And it's funny because it's going both ways. HR, companies are trying to hire recruiters from us and we're trying to hire recruiters from corporate. And we've never done that before, but they're now recruiting. They're not just posting and praying because they're realizing it doesn't work. So you're right. Some of them are really good.
So you would still add those though.
Yeah. The other thing too is shut off the thing on LinkedIn where they can see where it says other people have also viewed the following. So
Yes.
when you've got that setting on LinkedIn, make sure they're not viewing your competitors. So turn that off on LinkedIn where they can view who other people are looking at in addition to looking at you. You definitely want that turned off.
Absolutely.
Okay? All right.
Yeah.
All right. Let me mute you. Let's go to Michael Zorn. Michael, what did you learn? Michael, are you there?
Yes. Sorry, I didn't know which Michael you were talking to, but so the refresher for me, I think that I'd like to do is I'm working in a new market right now, recruiting, and I think using more of the general script. I mean, I've been pitching the job and I haven't been getting the typical traction that I would. So I think, just kind of switching the approach up a little bit and trying to really just slow it down because it's easy to start, cutting corners and just being ready to get to the next call. So I think, just really taking my time with each and every call and trying a little bit of a different approach up front is what I'm going to try to implement here.
Right. And I'm not telling you all to quit pitching jobs because if pitching jobs is the way you've always done it, you can still do some of that, but then intersperse it with just pitching a conversation about their next career move and then compare your results. Because what I'm hearing over and over again is that pitching jobs is just you're not getting the response you used to get. I'm going to go down to Rick now, and I'm going to call on you, Rick. Let me get down to your second here. Let me mute this line. Okay, and we're at the top. Hold on a second here. It's not letting me go down for some reason. Hold on a second here. Wait a minute. Let's see here. I'll get there in a second, Rick. I want to see if you want to add anything before we end. Let's see here. It's not letting me unmute your line, Rick. Hold on a second here. Let's go here. Here it goes. Sorry about that, guys. I'm just having a little bit of a technical thing with GoToMeeting right now. Okay, Rick, I've unmuted your line.
Okay, good. Yeah, I think it's amazing that there's $180 million producers last year.
Yes.
I mean, that's, to me, it just blows my mind to think there's so much money out there and companies are willing to pay for talent. So I'm hoping these newer people, even the experienced people, hear that. The things I liked is I liked the thing Michael mentioned about from your last place of employment. I think that's a real good thing to use. And then I think that, your part about, hey, try this and then try it your way you're doing it and see which one works. Everybody should try some of this stuff in place of what they're currently doing and see which one they get better results from. For example, your example of, we've helped 7 property managers in their careers. We'd like to help you do the same. And if you look at Michael, I mean, he's been doing this for, I think, 150 years. So he can say he's placed like 340,000 regional managers and he would like to help them too. So that would be good for some of the experienced people too. And I have a question for you.
Sure.
When you present candidates, your marketing candidate, and you tell them that, hey, this candidate said your company was their first choice company, how do you deal with the salary negotiations from that perspective? From that point because at that point they know, oh, this guy really wants us. So how do you deal with the salary or the fee negotiations? I'm sorry, not salary negotiations, but fee negotiations.
You're saying fee negotiations? What's interesting is we have a flat 25, Rick. We don't go above it or below it for anybody ever. And so what I say is, this person mentioned your company first. These are the reasons. And before I present this person to my best clients, I wanted to at least reach out to you since he mentioned your name first. And these are the reasons. Is this someone, when would it be convenient for us to set up a time for you to meet? And then I'm going to get right into my fee. But I let them know that I'm calling them, but I'm still going to call my best clients. But before I called my best clients, I wanted to call them first, since this candidate said they wanted to work there. But I do not negotiate the fee. This is not the time that you should be negotiating fees or margins ever, because there is such a shortage of candidates. And marketing candidates work so effectively right now. It's ridiculous how marketing candidates is working right now. I would say that probably a third of our placements this year has been the result of marketing candidates. And it just, and with all the orders we have, but see what I do in my team, Rick, the minute you book an interview for a candidate on direct hire in my organization, you have to get the candidate 2 more interviews. Because if we don't, we know they get it on their own. They're not going to look at one thing. So my recruiters know that the minute they set them up with one of our clients, they have to market them till they get them 2 more interviews, so that we keep them busy rather than them going off on your own. And because of that, because that's one of our just standard operating procedures, you have to get 3 interviews for every candidate whenever possible. Almost a third of our placements has been marketing candidates. So it absolutely works. And with the shortage of candidates, I find people less inclined to want to negotiate the fee. And if somebody asked me, say that somebody said, well, the we only pay a 20% fee, that's okay. It was worth the phone call. When somebody mentions a company and they don't have the person's full name, so they don't know who they are, it's always worth me reaching out. But every one of my current clients, we just have a flat 25% for everybody across the board. And I can't give you a better rate, Rick, than my best clients have. That's just not good business. But I thought I'd reach out since this person had mentioned your company and they would have been excited about it. And, I am not going to flinch on my fee right now because it's a candidate-driven market. And we should not negotiate our fees. Every time you negotiate your fee, you're negotiating your income. Why would you do that in this marketplace when it's so hard to find talent? Don't negotiate. That answer that?
Yeah, no, it was a good answer. Thank you.
All right, I'm so sorry to get to everybody. I will start at the bottom of the list next time around. We're 10 minutes over. I do apologize. But I really enjoy all of you. I think that your points were good, but it's one thing to come to these calls. It's another thing to make a change. And so every time we do a call, I want you to try something new. Don't try 3 or 5 or 6 things. What is the one thing that resonated with you? That's why I ask you, what did you learn? What's the one thing you want to start doing? Even if you just set up Google alerts on every one of you should have Google alerts on all your current and targeted companies. And salespeople, your recruiters should know everybody you're targeting. If they don't know when they should get more inside information on a company you're targeting. So those are a couple easy changes that are major changes. But please, when you come to these calls, make changes. Otherwise, this is a waste of your valuable time. So I thank all of you, and I look forward to our next training session. You all have a wonderful day. Thanks, everybody.